The talk today is called Field of Dreams, which, by the way, is the title of a movie from 1989, which you may or may not remember. It's actually like the number 6 fantasy movie on the AFI list, so a lot of people who didn't see it when it first came out have seen it since then. It's a wonderful metaphysical story. If you haven't seen the movie, I encourage you to do so. It seems to be about baseball, but it's not really about baseball. There's a line in the movie, if you build it, they will come, which has been used, I think, to rationalize every bad idea and bubble for the last 30 years. I mean, .coms, if you build it, they will come. Oh, put up a website, put up a thing, and people will come, and they'll use it, they'll do that. McMansions and the whole housing bubble, if you build it, they will come, they will sell it. It was actually a misquote in the movie. But what the movie talks about is creative progress. The field of dreams is the same field that we're living in, the same field that we're farming our lives in. As we teach our Beyond Limits class, we love using soil metaphors because it becomes just such an easy explanation of the way the creative process works. So if I have an idea, if I have something that I want to create in my life, if I want to bring more prosperity into my life, if I want to have a different job, if I want to have a better relationship, if I want to have a car, instead of starting by looking for a car, I start with that seed thought of I have a car. And we go for the qualities that we're going to experience when we have that. So that's the seed thought that we're planting in the soil. The seed thought, and it might be, I have a Tesla, or it might be, I have comfortable and affordable and reliable transportation that gets me where I need to go at the time that I need to go there. And, hey, having a Tesla says something about you. Jury's still out about what that is, but having a Tesla says something about you. And having reliable transportation is a feeling. So it's whatever feeling it is that you're looking for there, that's the seed that you're planting. What will it feel like? What will your life be once you have grown that seed thought into the actual experience? And the soil is the creative medium. We like to say is that the law always responds by saying yes. The infinite universe, the creative process, only has one answer, which is yes. So a positive and powerful intention that's planted into that responsive law always responds with a yes. So whatever it is that we're planting, that's what we're going to cultivate. And if you take tomato seeds, you're going to grow tomatoes. The soil doesn't care. If you take an acorn and you plant it, you're going to grow an oak tree. I have a little tiny oak tree in my backyard that's currently 35 feet tall. It didn't start out 35 feet tall. It started out as an accidental planting of an acorn. There's a great story there too. The soil, though, responds the same way to the acorn as it does to the tomato seed. If you want to grow cucumbers, don't plant bananas. If you want to plant, whatever it is that you want to grow, you need to intentionally say, this is what I want to grow, and then let that grow. And there's a lot of details to the process. It's not as easy as, wait a second, all I have to do is say, I want to have a relationship, and I'll have a relationship? Well, yes, it is actually that simple. It's not that easy, because there's a little bit of detail that's involved in that, as the students in the Beyond Limits class are learning at this point. But that's the process. And that's the process that we talk about here at New Thought Philadelphia all the time. So one of the things that we're thinking about is to promote New Thought Philadelphia, we would love to put up billboards. And at some point we're going to do that. We'll probably start with bumper stickers. So we keep on coming up with pithy little ideas for what we would put onto the billboards and into the bumper stickers. And one of them you heard in the God Call beginning, which is my God is bigger, which of course will attract some attention just because people will think the wrong thing when they hear it. And I'm perfectly okay with that. The other one is, you've got questions, we've got questions too. And the thing that makes this teaching different is that we don't claim to have the answers. We seem to have understood where some questions lead. We seem to have some techniques for approaching the questions that we all seem to have about how to deal with those questions and how to take those questions and turn them into something that's working in our lives. But one of our students in the advanced class last week, we started talking about something, he says, you know, this is the only religion. This is the only place where they won't tell you they have the answer. This is the only place where they say, we don't really know. We're not the only answer. We have a way that works, but it's not the only way that works. And he was really excited about that because he likes to distance himself from anybody telling him what to do. And it turns out that he's in the right place at the right time having his experience because that's his seed thought. He wants to be able to make his own choices, to have his own experience. And he's really excited because we're not telling anybody how to do it. What we do is we go into the technique. This is the assemblage. All of these different religions and spiritual practices have great ideas at their core. And we're not about trying to trump them or come up with our own better idea. What we're all about is taking the best ideas that everybody has come up with for living the life of their intentions, to live in their field of dreams, and make that the life that they're living. So that's the whole process. So please, and this is the thing we love to say, that people don't, you know, it's like an overload for some people. Please do not believe anything that I say just because I said it. Listen to it, consider it, understand it. If you're resistant to it, understand that you're resistant to it. If you're drawn toward it, understand that you're drawn toward it. And if it rings true for you, then you can take it as a truth for you. But that's not because I said it. I'm giving you an opportunity. You've got questions, we've got questions too. Here's a question to consider. And then take that and say, does this work for me? There's another movie where they said it doesn't, if something's true, it doesn't matter whether you believe it. Which is an interesting spin on that. It actually does, but we'll get into that at a different time. So all of these opportunities for learning, for growth, for deepening keep coming along. And as we stand there in our field of dreams, being able to plant the seed that we want to plant, we don't have to take everything that comes in. You know? The other thing about the movie Field of Dreams was a farmer in Iowa who plowed under his cornfield so that he could build a baseball diamond. If you build it, they will come. And so he did that, and people thought that he was crazy. The baseball diamond stuff, all of the baseball game things, it's like every pitch is not a good pitch. Some pitches are low and outside. Some pitches you're going to swing at, you're just going to miss. It's a strike. If what's coming in, if the input that you're getting, whether it's from me, or from your significant other, or from your boss, or from anybody else, if it's a bad pitch, don't swing at it. Understand this one's not for me. And yeah, every once in a while they're going to call a strike on you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if you'd swung, you would have hit. Swing at the ones that resonate with you. Allow the ideas that work for you to be part of what your life is, to be one of those seeds that you're planting. And then the question is, what seeds are you planting? What are you expecting? What do you want to create in your life? If this actually worked, I'm going to take it hypothetical. If this actually worked, we've got questions too. If this actually worked, and you were able to create the life of your dreams, what would that look like? What would that be? What would you want to be experiencing in your life? And it's not the things, it's not the stuff that you have in your life. That was what was in the reading. When you have stuff, you have to take care of the stuff. But when you have the stuff, how do you want to feel about it? Do you want to feel comfortable that you're looking at the sunset? Or do you want to feel like, wow, if I work a little bit harder, then I'm going to get even more people into my restaurant? What's the feeling that you want to have? And whatever it is, it's okay. Some people want to be mega successful financiers, and other people want to have a nice little home where they can raise their family. Or whatever it is that makes your heart sing. Be real aware of what seeds you're planting, because when you're clear about the seeds that you're planting, you can be pretty clear about what you expect to be growing in your life. Does that mean there are no weeds? It means there's nothing coming up in your garden? I mean, you know, I'm a horrible gardener. I'd rather sing. No, I don't garden. It's like, you know, that's a pitch that I'm allowing to go by. I do other things really, really well, but but gardening is not one of the big ones that's on my list. But I do know that sometimes I'll plant sunflowers in my yard, and then tulips will grow. Not at the same time. And the reason the tulips grow is that they were already planted there. They were planted there years and years and years ago, and every year the tulips come up. Well, okay, if I don't want the tulips to come up anymore, I actually have to go dig up the tulips. I have to take care of the garden. I need to make sure that what's planted in my soil is actually what I want to be growing. Fortunately, I like tulips, so I just let them continue going, because I think I might have mentioned I'm not really a very good gardener. I'm a kind of, well, I'm all right with what that is kind of gardener. So be careful about what you're intending. Not careful like cautious and afraid, but just be very aware of what it is that you want to create in your life. And if you can put into words what it is that you're intending, sometimes what you'll wind up with is a doggy head tilt. This is my favorite litmus test in the world. If you ever make a high-pitched noise for a dog and they go, when we get something that just doesn't seem to make sense, get that doggy head tilt. I got this insight from a friend of mine who was running a company, and they'd been in this location for 20-something years. There was an employee who'd been with them for 15 years who walked out of the bathroom and walked into a pillar that's been there for 20 years. And it's like, they take her into the lunchroom. Is she okay? What's going on? All the rest of it. Woman says, yeah, I just didn't see it. Doesn't that happen to you sometimes? No, that doesn't happen to me sometimes. There's an understanding that what was going on for this woman is completely different. The pillar didn't magically appear there. Apparently she'd run into it before, but this time she actually needed to be taken care of. So when the doggy head tilt comes along, you go with that. And if there's a change that needs to happen because of that, go with that. We start talking about field of dreams and weeding. Well, wouldn't it be really easy if you could just magically make the stuff that you want grow without the weeds? That'd be a nice shortcut. Here's a doggy head tilt test for you. And I'm not doing this with any energy and trying to get you into activism or something. But in 1970, a chemist came up with an herbicide that kills all the broadleaf weeds. It's great. He called it Roundup. And the company that he worked for figured out how to make plants that were immune to the poison. So the idea now is you take these Roundup-resistant seeds and you plant them, and they start growing, and then you cover everything with the poison, and everything dies except the resistant plants. Isn't that cool? Are you doing a doggy head tilt? Yeah, because nobody says what happens to the poison afterwards, what happens to the secondary crops that maybe we want to be growing, and what happens to the people who are eating the food that's growing that's been doused in poison. It's perfectly safe. And that's where my doggy head tilt comes in, because maybe it is and maybe it's not, but there's still an open question for me. And the problem that I have now is that the people who are in the agricultural business are saying, we don't need to label the stuff that we've done this to because it's perfectly safe. And that's the part where I say, I'm not sure that's the field that I want to be living in. I'm not telling you to do anything about that, but if you're already aware of what's going on with genetically modified food, then fine. And if you're not aware of it, then just be aware that when you put something into your body, that's becoming part of your life. That's becoming part of what you are, and that you can do that intentionally. You can make choices. Something very similar is going on with honeybees. There's a honeybee hive collapse that's going on. We're losing about 30% of the honeybees every year. Some people say, well, Reverend Bill, that's okay because I really don't like honey. That's not the point. We don't use the honeybees for honey. That's a side effect. They cross-pollinate so many fruits, like 40 or 50 different varieties of fruits and vegetables, that without the honeybees, those crops can't survive. So it turns out that that's important. And again, you don't have to do anything about that. If you want to, you can Google this stuff. It's all over the internet. And you can take action and take steps if you want. But my invitation to you is just to be aware of it. To be aware that this is the field that we're in. And if we're all creating the life that we're choosing, That's the life that we're creating. And we can create any life that we want to create. Are we on a level playing field? No, there's some people who are making choices and doing stuff, and other people don't have those many choices. Again, well, let's be aware of that. Let's be aware of the situation that we're in, the life that we're living, and the sort of system that we're promoting. Do we all need to own fabulous, glitzy restaurants in Hollywood? Or can some of us just enjoy the sunset with our kids playing next door? Both are okay. Both are okay. We get to make our own choices. We're always making our own choices. So in that movie, if you build it, they will come. And that came up actually in a project that Reverend Dave and I worked on many, many years ago. That same misquote. The line, if you build it, they will come, was actually the very end of the movie, when James Earl Jones pointed out why people are going to come to this baseball field in the middle of nowhere. Because they come there and they see visions of baseball players from many decades ago. And his line then was, they'll come, Ray. They'll come because it's money they have and dreams they lack. And that's about trading what we have for what we're yearning for. Our willingness to say, that's what I want to have, and I'm willing to stand here and know that that's what I want to be planting, that's what I want to be creating, that's what I'm yearning for, and invest myself in it. What are we creating? Anybody remember what the actual line was from the movie? If you build it, he will come. If you build it, he will come. Because at the very end of the movie, what happens is Kevin Costner's character's father, who had played baseball when he was younger, shows up. So it turns out that the whole story was about his personal spiritual journey, about him being able to transcend the challenges that he had with his relationship with his father and reconnect. So it was all about the spiritual journey. And we've, of course, undermined it by saying, well, that's the reason that we're going to build a .com and, 7,000 sub-developments in Las Vegas. And that's okay. Eventually somebody will live in those houses, I'm sure. It'll all be okay. So there's something inside of each of us that we're wanting to bring out, some seed that we're looking to be planting. Is there anybody here who's never had the lotto fantasy? Mega Millions on
Today?
Yeah, Mega Millions I know on Friday it was $72 million. I don't know what it is today. It's possible that I won the $72 million, and this could have been a completely different talk, which would be, hey, let's all go get brunch. The lotto fantasy that we all have about, well, I'd buy a car and I'd do this and I'd go travel and I'd see this and whatever it happens to be, that's doing. What would you do if you had all of that money? Well, you're living in a field of dreams. So if you get past that, what would I do if I had all that money? To who would I be if I had all that money? It's a different question, and that's a different answer. So here's the question that I like to ask people. Instead of, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? Pick your number in your own mind, the privacy of your own mind, what salary, what annual salary that you could earn that you feel perfectly comfortable with. Wouldn't need to be concerned about money anymore. Whatever that number is. For some people it's going to be $25,000. For some people it's going to be $500,000. Whatever your number is. Okay, here's the job opportunity. You're getting hired to work full-time for that salary. What's your dream job? Your dream job is not lying on the beach or traveling. It's about sharing your gifts and contributing. So you are going to be completely supported, financially, physically, in all the ways that are materially important to you. And in exchange, you're going to share your gifts. You're going to bring the best of yourself to the world and allow it out. And what are you going to do? Now, does that feel different than what would I do if I won the lotto? Yeah, but it's the same question. Who would I be if I won the lotto? And whatever questions are rolling around in your mind right now, here's an answer that I know for sure. You already are that person. You already are that gift. You already are that unique combination of skills and talents that deserves to be fully compensated, richly and generously rewarded, and living comfortably in every moment. Not because I said it, not because I wish it to be true, but because that's your birthright. So our opportunity is to understand what we're planting in that field, what we're putting into the soil. Do the work, do the weeding, be attentive, and then allow the good to come to us. So do that this week, because you deserve it, because you are a bright light of love, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you.